Hi, everybody. This is my Module 1, Building Professional Capacity Through Personal Introductions for EDL 851. My name is Megan Dusky. So first, I want to share with you a little bit about myself. So I am 27 years old, and my husband and I live in north central Kansas where we farm and ranch. We raise cattle and pigs. We also have goats, but we're more heavily into the cattle and the hogs. I teach second grade at Rock Hills Elementary School in Mankato, Kansas, and I graduated from K-State in 2016 with my bachelor's degree in elementary education. So some hobbies of mine: I love to be outside on the farm with my husband. I enjoy reading, baking, and taking our dog Dixie, who I have a picture of right there, for a walk. We also have a cat, and by we, I mean I have a cat, and my husband hates her. So you might hear her on these videos from time to time. I love to listen to true crime podcasts and audiobooks when I'm out walking. And then I thought that this was awesome to add in there. My husband and I have recently, we're late to the party, started watching The Blacklist on Netflix. I know that everybody's been raving about it for a long time, but we finally hopped on the bandwagon and we're addicted, honestly. A little bit about my job. So this is my 6th year of teaching, and my very first year of teaching, I was the reading and math MTSS coordinator for pre-K through 4th grade at Northern Valley here in Kansas. For the last 5 years, though, I've been teaching second grade. 2 of those years were at Northern Valley, and then the last 3 years I've been second grade here at Rock Hills. I also coach high school volleyball at Rock Hills. This is my 6th year of coaching as well, so I've been coaching for as long as I've been teaching. One thing I wanted to add in here is that our school is currently adjusting to a full-time principal at the elementary school. When I was at Northern Valley, we did have a full-time principal. Well, we split him with the middle school building, which was like 9 miles away from Almena where I taught. So the last 2 years here at Rock Hills, it's just been not a position that's been completely filled. And so having a full-time principal has definitely changed the way I think about some things, and also has to deal with some of the reasons that I have certain beliefs that I do. I wanted to add in here that learning labs. So we have quite a few students who have learning loss due to quarantines. So we offer an after-school program 2 times a week called Learning Lab, and that's where we work to get kiddos caught up, and I am one of the teachers that participates in that. So a little bit of an outline for what I intend to talk about today. So first, I wanted to talk about my introduction. Then I'm going to talk about the articles, move on to my personal understanding and how I relate to this and what I believe, and then my final one being my standard. So first off, the very first article discusses the importance of why we need effective teacher supervision and evaluation. Currently, our systems are excuse me, not the same across the nation, which can lead to issues as to what we view as important throughout the states. Our evaluation needs to be more than just a check mark off of a to-do list. Our goal should be to help administrators, with the help of the state, to create effective and fair, meaningful evaluations to improve their performance. I really see evaluations as a tool that we can use to help us increase teacher growth and teacher development. The second article puts a very large emphasis on mental health and mental well-being of staff. It identifies 10 steps that your school can move towards to support school staff well-being. I wanted to note in here that there were 3 that really caught my attention. The first being reduced workload, which I know that is something that is very heavily talked about. Comfortable space to take a time out, and then opportunities for staff to participate in activities with colleagues that are outside of school. 3 of those things that I think are very important and are actually what my school is kind of working towards. Reduced workload, we're trying to hire a STEM teacher so that way we can have PLC more often to increase our collaboration to hopefully better our teaching practices. A comfortable space to take a time out. We actually don't have a teacher's lounge, and I know that that probably sounds really silly, but we don't have a place for us to eat our lunch together unless we go into somebody else's classroom, and since we all have different lunches, it's really difficult, but if people could just come and go, that would be nice. We don't really have a space to take a time out either, which is sometimes really necessary. Sometimes you just need 2 minutes by yourself, and we don't have a place like that we feel like we can go and relax. And then for opportunities for staff to participate in activities with colleagues that are outside of school, we've really been working on that, about trying to create a togetherness within the staff and finding ways that we relate with each other that aren't about we should be friends because we teach second grade. No, we can get along, but I didn't realize that you were interested in this. That's cool. Now we have something else to kind of bond over and create a meaningful relationship, which you're going to learn this about me. I think that relationships are like the most important thing in the world. So the third article that I read puts the idea of mental health on a larger scale for managers and or administrators to think about. Not only do you want your staff to be healthy and well taken care of so your business or school can operate to the best of its ability, but we come to learn that while staff may be managing mental disorders like anxiety or mood disorders, which are the two most common, the inability for them to cope could actually lead to long-term illnesses and having a further effect on your business or on your school. Because when people miss out on a chunk of work, it impacts their mental health because they realize how much they've missed out on, and they realize that they missed out on the personal interactions, and they just don't feel like they're as caught up or like as they are as intertwined with what you're working on as everybody else. So when we are thinking about teacher recruitment, they talk about 3 questions that we can really ask ourselves. So how do hard-to-staff schools aggressively recruit teachers for their campus? What steps should principals take to develop new teachers once they become a part of the faculty? And what activities should principals engage in to secure a teacher's long-term commitment to the school? So one of those things that hard-to-staff schools can do could be implementing university partnerships, pre-service preparation, job shadowing, early contract signing, and then having celebrations. And then we can work to keep quality teachers by money, insisting on involvement and creating opportunities for growth. And when I say hard to staff schools were defined as a large percentage of them are socioeconomically disadvantaged students. It's a difficult teaching environment, undesirable school location, low academic achievement of student population. The very last article gives us some ideas of what administrators and or districts could consider when turning the focus onto teacher well-being. It starts with working towards improving a school culture, one thing that my school is also currently working on as well. And the ways that we can improve this school culture would be by asking staff what changes they want to see. On my new principal's very first day in June, that was what she said. Tell me the great things about Rock Hills that you don't want to change, and tell me some things that you would love to see change. And that was great because I really felt like we were being listened to. So I love that came with some research. She did that for a purpose. Having a transparent environment, strong employee relationships, open about mental health, encourage practices of mindfulness, promote a healthy lifestyle, and then having some cutoff days. So when we talk about my own personal understanding, when we talk about improvement, that's like, to me, you want to offer multiple opportunities to grow. You want to reduce that teacher workload so that way they feel like they have a chance to breathe and that they're not trying to do 8 things at 50%. Maybe they can only do 4 things at 100%. And I think that also helps teachers feel like they are successful. We need comfortable places to go. For us, it would be a teacher's lounge, which we're really trying to find the space for. Teacher evaluations that give actual effectiveness to their performance. And I realize that that's going to kind of change based off of who your principal might be and what they might view as important. But when you constantly have a revolving door of principals, it makes it even more difficult to realize, okay, what are the great things that I'm doing and where do I really struggle at? We can work for retention of our teachers by offering them more money. Opportunities for growth, creating those meaningful relationships, and then working towards improving your school culture by having strong employee relationships and creating those opportunities outside of school. Learning, it needs to be meaningful professional development. That is one thing that, again, my district is really working towards. And then we can also have those in-person or online trainings to assist administration or managers in improving their confidence to support mental health within their staff. That way it doesn't feel like that's a taboo topic we don't talk about. And then the well-being. Reducing teacher workload can make an impact in teacher well-being, which can help improve teacher retention, kind of like killing 2 birds with 1 stone. So my content knowledge over improvement. This assignment definitely increased my content knowledge about improvement, retention, learning, and well-being by providing me with articles that discuss the differences and the importance that each one has in education. So I've only taught in Kansas, therefore my knowledge of improvement and learning is pretty limited. We participate in KEEP 2, so I have not seen anything different. I would have no idea what Nebraska or Colorado does, and I guess I didn't really think about that evaluations might be different all across the states. And then, like I mentioned before, they can also change depending on your administration and how constant or changing it is. For retention, so when I was attending K-State, I got to see firsthand the active participation that the university had with that the university partnerships had with Manhattan schools and the towns surrounding, the job shadowing that we offered, and early contract signing, like you were signing in January, which maybe doesn't seem early to you guys, but for those of us who didn't graduate until May, it seemed early. So I feel like all of those did work really well to help find teachers as well as keep the good ones. I did not realize at the time that those tactics, that they were tactics that they used to keep their staff full. I just figured, oh, since you live in a college town, you have to do this. So this is an area that I really am interested in learning more about, as I would consider where we live a hard to staff school, and it's also a rural area. And we're going to have several open positions coming up this school year. So I'm interested to see how many applications that we receive, and if there's another way that we could entice teachers to come here and or stay. Content, knowledge, learning. So professional development of all kinds can be beneficial to teacher learning. And if we want to improve our practices to enhance student learning, we also need to be very willing as teachers to grow. I do think it's important that we have professional development that we're participating in that is meaningful and applicable to the teachers who are being serviced by it. Something that our district has greatly improved on throughout my last 3 years here would be the professional development. We used to participate in 6 district-wide trainings all year long, district-wide professional growth or professional development all year long. So pre-K through high school, we were all doing the same thing. And it's really hard to find a training that we could use both in pre-K and then, like, for instance, high school ag. And so since we've kind of broken up our trainings by age and are actually kind of working towards departmentalization, I feel like our professional development has been a lot more meaningful. Content, knowledge, well-being. I found the articles that discuss well-being probably the most interesting. And I think mostly because that I know as an administrator, I could really improve on this. I think a lot of adults don't really know how to discuss mental health openly and appropriately. And so I think that the trainings that Article 3 discussed would be beneficial for myself to partake in. I also don't really think I realized that well-being truly goes just beyond like your mental state, but it's physical. The inability to take care of your mental health can result in long-term physical health concerns. And like the more I think about it, like I know that it's true, but being able to teach adults and encourage them to take care of themselves, you know, especially in crazy times like this when there's no sub shortages, really in the long run, that's what's best. And I think teaching adults to be able to take care of themselves even when it's difficult would be a real marathon to complete. Standard correlation. This assignment is relevant to my current learning because it improved my beginning knowledge of what is needed to create a school that teachers want to be a part of. This assignment supports educational success and well-being of each student and adult by providing methods to create a school culture that teachers are continuously learning and willing to improve. And when there is teacher improvement, our practices improve and benefit students. We also get the opportunity to lead by example, especially when it comes to mindfulness and to mental health. Relevant. This assignment will influence the decisions I make as a future school leader by acknowledging the areas that I can put focus and emphasis into to benefit my staff. Concepts that I have witnessed our principal would be like sending out surveys about changes we want or what we are interested in gaining professional development on. So far, it really has worked well. I will say that our district is not always willing to give the buy-in. It's been a difficult task, but I truly think that with a constant principal and continuing to put time and energy into us, I think that it'll improve. Reflection. I know that when I began my leadership career, I need to work on building relationships and ask my staff what changes they want to see, as well as putting efforts into making sure that our school is not just about work relationships, but about creating relationships outside of school. Our school, like I mentioned, is currently lacking the latter, and I would love to see this change throughout the course of this school year, which it already kind of has since August, but I know that we can get better too. But I do attribute this to a revolving door of administrators over the last 3 years, and we're getting towards a high teacher turnover. And so that's hard too, because you always feel like you're constantly starting over. And then this last slide here are my resources. Thank you so much.